Welcome to Tech Savvy 101, AI and Automation Made Simple. Hi, I'm Sarah Baker, your new Tech Savvy bestie. I'm a technology and automation coach, an online business owner, and a crazy busy mom of 3 kids under 10. Whether you're just starting to explore AI or you're ready to level up your tech game, I'm here to help make it all feel absolutely doable. No complicated jargon, no endless tutorials, just shortcuts and simple solutions that you can start using in your business right away. So, if you're ready to start saving hours every day with smart systems and AI tools, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey there, welcome back to Tech Savvy 101, AI and Automation Made Simple. I'm your host, Sarah Baker, your tech savvy bestie who's here to help you simplify your business, embrace automation, and save hours every week. Today, we're diving into something that might make you want to hit the skip button, creating standard operating procedures for your business. I know. SOPs sound about as exciting as watching paint dry. But stay with me because this episode could literally save you hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in the coming year. Here's the truth. Most entrepreneurs avoid documenting their processes until they're already drowning in work and desperately trying to hire help. But by that point, you have no time to train anyone properly. So you end up with a team that can't perform to your standards, creating more work, more frustration, and you're stuck in a vicious cycle. But what if I told you that by creating SOPs now, you'd be saving future you so much pain and suffering? SOPs do not have to be complicated, time-consuming, or boring. What if I showed you how to document your processes in a way that actually makes your work easier and faster before you even need to hire anyone? That is exactly what we're covering today, a simple, actionable approach to creating SOPs that will save you time now and make delegation seamless later. Let's dive in. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Why should you care about SOPs if you don't even have a team yet? I hear this question all the time, and I get it. When you're wearing all the hats in your business, documenting processes can feel like just one more thing on your never-ending to-do list. But here's why you should start doing it now. First, when you do finally hire help, you'll be doing it because you're already maxed out and desperately in need of support. Trust me, this is the absolute worst time to start documenting your processes. You won't have the time or the mental bandwidth to do it well, and your new team member will be left guessing how to meet your expectations. This is setting yourself up for failure. According to a study by Workamajig, businesses with documented processes experience 20 to 30% higher profitability than those without standardized procedures. That is a significant difference that directly impacts your bottom line. Second, SOPs aren't just for your future team, they're for you. When you document a process, you're essentially creating a template for that task. This makes you faster and more consistent every time you repeat that task. Think about how many times you've reinvented the wheel by trying to remember the steps for something that you do regularly, like onboarding a new client or publishing a podcast episode, or even something as simple as creating a social media post. Third, the act of documenting your processes often reveals inefficiencies and opportunities for automation. When you break down exactly what you're doing step by step, you're going to frequently have those, wait, why am I doing it this way moments that lead to significant improvements. Research from the Process Excellence Network found that businesses that regularly review and document their processes identify an average of 10 improvement opportunities per documented procedure. That's a lot of potential efficiency gains just waiting to be discovered. And finally, SOPs create consistency in your client experience. Whether you're a coach or a service provider or a course creator, your clients deserve the same high-quality experience every time they interact with your business. SOPs ensure that happens. whether it's you or a team member delivering the service. So to sum it up, creating SOPs now will save you time immediately, make eventual delegation seamless, and reveal opportunities for improvement. They will also ensure a consistent experience for your clients. So let's demystify SOPs. What are they and what are they not? Let's clear up all that confusion. First off, SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. But I actually prefer to just call them how-to guides or process guides because it feels way less intimidating. So what is an SOP really? It's simply a documented process for completing a specific task or workflow in your business. Think of it as instructions that anyone with the right skills could follow to get the job done correctly. What an SOP is not is a complex corporate document with endless jargon and bureaucracy. It doesn't need to be fancy, and it doesn't need to be perfect. The best SOPs are just clear, concise, and actually freaking useful. According to a survey by Atlassian, teams with clear, accessible documentation spend 60% less time onboarding new team members and 35% less time answering repetitive questions. That alone is a huge time savings that allows you to focus on growth instead of constantly explaining the same processes. At its core, an effective SOP should answer these questions. What are we trying to accomplish with this process? What resources do we need to complete it? What are the step-by-step instructions to do it right? And how do we know that it's done correctly? That's it. No corporate jargon, no unnecessary complexity. So if you got sick, you were in the hospital, and you had to pull someone in to keep your business running, to keep the lights on, could you do that? Could you bring someone in tomorrow? Would they be able to run your business? Would they be able to figure out how to log into your software? Would they be able to figure out how to post on your social media? Would they be able to figure out how to run your payroll? If not, you need SOPs for those things. Let's look at some examples of processes that you might want to document, starting with the ones I just mentioned. How to onboard a new client, how to publish and promote a blog post, how to prepare and send your weekly newsletter, how to reconcile your business finances each month, how to respond to customer support inquiries. These are all recurring tasks that follow a consistent process. By documenting them, you ensure that they're done the same way every time, whether it's you or someone else doing the work. These are all examples of great tasks if you don't already have a VA. If you get to the point where you are overwhelmed and you are ready to bring someone on, whether it's a full-time team member or a VA, if you've already documented these, then bringing on some help is seamless because you can send them these SOPs and say, okay, I'd like you to take over sending my weekly newsletter. Here's how I do it. Posting and promoting the blog posts. Here's how I do it. And then you know that the standard of that work will be done to the level that you like to have it done because you've already documented the way that you do it. Now let's talk about how to structure your SOPs so they're actually useful. I recommend using a consistent 5-part framework for every process guide. Part 1 is overview. Start with a brief overview that explains what this process is for. This should be just 1 to 2 sentences that clearly state the purpose. For example, this guide explains how we onboard new coaching clients from signed contract to first session. Part 2, links and resources. Next, include any links, logins, or resources needed to complete the process. This should feel self-explanatory. This might include links to your project management tool, email templates, client forms, or any other relevant resources. The goal here is to put everything the person needs in one place so they're not hunting for information. It also makes it so that they're not constantly bothering you. If you are bringing in a VA, they shouldn't have to constantly be pinging you on Slack or Messenger to say, hey, I can't find. They should be able to go to one central place, whether it's your project management tool or a Google Drive or in a Google Doc. and find all the resources they need to successfully complete the project independently. Next up is a video tutorial, part 3. I am a huge advocate for including a screen recording of the process. This should be so simple for you to do. You can use a tool like Loom to make it super easy and literally just record yourself completing the task once. Talk through what you're doing as you go. So next time you do this task, open up Loom and just narrate what you're doing. This is super helpful for people who are visual learners, and it can also make sure that you capture all the little nuances of the task that written instructions might miss. Research from the Social Science Research Network shows that 65% of people are visual learners, meaning they retain information better when it's presented visually. So by including video tutorials in your SOPs, you're catering to the majority learning style preference. Part 4 is step-by-step instructions. Now comes the actual step-by-step breakdown. Be as detailed as possible here. Instead of saying send welcome email, provide the exact template. Explain how to personalize it and note when it should be sent. Don't assume knowledge. Be explicit about every action that needs to be taken. And part 5 is the quality checklist. Finally, include a checklist to ensure quality and consistency. This might include things like client's name is spelled correctly in all communications, or all dates in the calendar invites match the contract. This checklist should serve as a final verification before considering the task complete. Remember, a lot of the details, especially if you are a solopreneur, live inside your head. Don't assume if you are bringing on a VA or a team member that they can read your mind. You need to get all of that information out of your head and into the SOP. According to a study published by the Harvard Business Review, teams that use checklists see a 74% reduction in errors and a 47% increase in consistency across deliverables. It is a very simple addition that dramatically improves outcomes. So this 5-part framework ensures your SOPs are comprehensive without being overwhelming. And the best part, you don't have to create all 5 parts at once. You can start with just recording yourself doing the task and then build out the rest over time. So don't feel overwhelmed like you need to all of a sudden create SOPs for every task inside your business. Just gradually start creating them. So next up, we're going to talk about where do you store your SOPs and why does this matter? Because where you store them is just as important as how you create them. You want to create a system that's accessible, searchable, and easy to update. There are 3 main approaches that I recommend. Option 1 is using a document storage system. You can use tools like Google Drive or Dropbox to store your SOPs as documents. This works well if your team is already comfortable with these platforms and if your SOPs don't need to be tightly integrated with your project management system. For example, in Google Drive, you might have a folder called Standard Operating Procedures with subfolders for different areas of your business like client onboarding, content creation, and finance. Each process would be its own Google Doc. Option 2 would be a project management system. Alternatively, you can build your SOPs directly in your project management tool like Asana, ClickUp, or Notion. This has the advantage of keeping your processes right where the work happens. In Notion, for example, you might have a dedicated SOP database with templates and properties that make it easy to organize and find the right process where you need it. Option 3 is task templates. For processes that are primarily task-based, you might choose to create task templates in your project management system. For example, client onboarding might be a template project in Asana that automatically creates all the necessary tasks in the right order when applied. The key here is to make sure your task templates include detailed descriptions of how to complete each task, not just what needs to be done. A task that says send welcome email isn't enough. The description needs to explain exactly how to personalize and send that email. A survey by Project Management Institute found that organizations with standardized processes that are easily accessible in their existing tools see 28% higher project success rates than those with fragmented documentation systems. The integration of your SOPs with your workflow tools matters significantly. Whichever option you choose, the most important factors are accessibility. Can everyone who needs those SOPs easily access them? Searchability. Can people quickly find the SOP they need? Updatability. How easy is it to update those SOPs when processes change? And multimedia support. Can you embed videos, images, and links? There is no one-size-fits-all answer here. Choose the system that works best for how you and your team think and work. Now let's talk about how to actually create your first SOP without getting overwhelmed. The secret is to document processes as you do them, not as a separate project. This should not feel like you're adding another item to your to-do list. Here's my step-by-step approach. Step 1 is identify a recurring process. Start with something you do regularly that follows a consistent process. This could be client onboarding, content publishing, email marketing. These are all great places to start because they typically involve multiple steps and are done frequently. Step 2 is record yourself doing it. The next time you perform this task, simply record your screen using a tool like Loom. Talk through what you're doing as you go. Explain why you're taking certain steps and any nuances that might not be obvious. This just became the video tutorial part of your SOP. Great job! Step 3 is create your basic structure. Set up a document or page within the 5-part framework that we discussed earlier. Overview, links and resources, video tutorial, step-by-step instructions, and quality checklist. Drop the link to your video into the appropriate section. Step 4 is to outline the steps while they're fresh. Immediately after recording, just jot down the main steps that you followed. Don't worry about being super detailed yet, just get the framework down while it's fresh and in your mind. And step 5 is to flesh out the details over time. As you perform the task again or have a few spare minutes, add more details to your SOP. Include screenshots or exact templates and more specific instructions. This doesn't have to all happen at once. A study by Gallup found that the incremental approach to process documentation is 62% more likely to result in SOPs that are actually used and maintained compared to intensive documentation projects. Don't let it overwhelm you. Small, consistent efforts beat massive documentation overhaul every time. The key is to make this an iterative process, not a massive project. Add to it over time. Document as you go, and your SOP library will grow naturally over time. I also recommend prioritizing your SOPs based off of frequency. How often do you perform this task? Complexity. How many steps or decisions are involved? Importance. How critical is this process to your business? And delegation potential. If this is something you think you're going to want to hand off soon, then this is one that needs an SOP sooner than later. Focus on creating SOPs for high-frequency, high-importance tasks first. These will give you the biggest return on your time investment. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about some common mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make when creating SOPs. The first mistake is making them too vague. Vague SOPs lead to inconsistent results. Make sure you're being specific about exactly what needs to happen at each step. Don't say, create graphics for the blog post. Specify what the dimensions are, what style, what text should be included, where to find the brand assets, and where to save the finished files. A study by the Quality Management Journal found that SOPs with very specific, measurable instructions reduced error rates by 93% compared to generalized procedures. Specificity pays off in accuracy. Mistake number 2 is assuming knowledge. When we're the experts at something, we often skip over details that seem obvious to us, but might not be to someone else. Try to approach your SOPs as if the person following them has the necessary skills, but no context about your specific business processes. Mistake number 3 is not including examples. Examples bring clarity to your instructions. Include screenshots, templates, and samples whenever possible to show what good looks like. Mistake number 4 is making them too rigid. While consistency is important, your SOPs should allow for appropriate decision-making and creativity. Make it clear which elements are flexible and which must be followed exactly. And mistake number 5 is creating them and forgetting them. Processes evolve, and your SOPs should too. Make sure that you schedule regular reviews of your most important processes to ensure that they still reflect your current best practices. McKinsey & Company reports that businesses that review and update their processes quarterly see a 27% improvement in operational efficiency compared to those that update annually or even less frequently. Regular reviews aren't just good practice, they're actually good business. And I'm going to throw in a bonus mistake here, and that's overcomplicating. Some entrepreneurs make their SOPs so complex that no one wants to use them. Remember, the goal is clarity and usability, not documentation just for the sake of documentation. By avoiding these mistakes, you're going to create SOPs that actually get used and deliver the consistency that your business needs. Creating effective SOPs might not be the most sexy part of running your business, but it's one of the most impactful investments that you can make in your future growth and your own sanity. According to research by Aberdeen Group, businesses with standardized processes grow revenue 18% faster and are 15% more profitable than businesses without documented procedures. That, my friend, is the power of consistency and efficiency at work. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of Tech Savvy 101. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you could subscribe and leave a review. It helps other tech-curious entrepreneurs find the show. I'll see you really soon. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Savvy 101, AI and Automation Made Easy. If today's episode made tech a little less intimidating for you, I would be so grateful if you'd leave a review and let me know what you loved. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to any resources I mentioned today. Be sure to follow Tech Savvy 101 wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Tune in for AI in Action on Tuesdays for quick, practical AI tips, and join me on Thursdays for full-length episodes. Until next time, keep shattering that tech ceiling.